Welcome back to another edition of the Coach's Corner. We're back at the Tivoli Tap House where you can get yourself some hot wings and a blackberry sour. I'm your host, Hector Cervantes, alongside my boy Coltin Lash. Coltin, how you doing, brother?
Hector, hey, good to see you, my man. How's your weekend been?
My weekend was good. Work most of the time. How about yours?
Fantastic. Broncos got a win. It's playoff baseball time. I'm super excited about the sports we got going on here.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about today's show.
So today, joining us, the cross-country team has been super busy the last few weeks, so we'll bring on head coach Nick Lara, who will tell us about the last few meets, including the home meet at Washington Park. And since there's so much cross-country talk, we'll bring on Alden Gruidel, who has been one of the top runners in all of Division II. And how about that volleyball team? They're off to an incredible start in conference play, so we'll chat with head coach Jenny Glenn about this past weekend.
Okay, but let's not forget some Roadrunner trivia, all right?
Of course.
All right. But before we get into today's show, we want to tell you about a little bit about Roadrunner news. So first off, our women's soccer team was at the Happy Confines on the Regency Athletic Complex last week. They took on Adams State on Friday, and the offense came alive in the second half. The squad piled up 4 goals in the second half, and so against the Grizzlies, and they ended up winning that game 4-0. And Gamboa led the way by scoring a goal and adding 2 assists. Coach Tracy Chow's team also defeated Fort Lewis on Sunday 1-0 to pick up 6 points on the weekend.
Also, our men's soccer team took to the road last weekend. They dropped a heartbreaker to Pueblo on Friday, but would rebound to take Sunday's affair with Adams State. Todd Gibbs got the red and blue on the board in the 67th minute, but the Grizzlies would get the equalizer with less than 2 minutes to go in regulation. This game would head into overtime, and it would be senior Yannick Schad who would step up and be the hero, netting the game winner 3 minutes into overtime. What a great way to end the weekend.
And now for some volleyball, who took their talents north to South Dakota over the weekend. They improved to 7-0 on the RMAC after a 3-0 sweep of the Black Hills State. Coach Glenn's defense was stellar, holding the Yellow Jackets to a .99 hitting percentage, which was the 4th straight opponent that the Roadrunners held under a 100 hitting percentage. That undefeated RMAC record fell the following night as the squad fell to South Dakota Mines 3-1.
And one of the biggest meets the Roadrunners will compete in all year. The cross-country team competed in the Lewis Crossover in Romeoville, Illinois. Alden Gruidel once again led the way for the red and blue, finishing 2nd overall in a field that featured more than 400 runners. The women's squad would finish 13th out of 36 teams. The men's team finished 16th out of 34 teams and were carried by Yoni Nifla, who finished in 53rd.
And so now we welcome in head coach Jenny Glenn for our volleyball team. Coach, how are you doing today?
I'm doing okay. How are you guys doing?
Coach, good to see you.
Good to see you.
So we were talking with Eric about before the show about that road trip to South Dakota. A really long road trip, if you ask me. So can you tell us the difference between this one and other ones you take?
Yeah, well, we thought it was going to be a lot longer when we left Denver on Thursday with all the snow. But once we got out of Denver, it was actually a pretty easy trip for us. So, yeah, it is a little bit longer. But, anytime I think they're going longer than that every time they leave. So, for us to just have one long road trip versus every match be a long road trip, I think we still have the advantage in the long run. So.
Okay. Do you like snow?
I love snow. I grew up in Granby, Colorado. Okay. I grew up skiing, so I'm very used to snow.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Maybe not in mid-October, but
right. That's fair.
When we're trying to travel to South Dakota, but other than that, yeah.
Okay.
A little bit of an early start this year.
A little bit, yeah.
So let's talk about your first match on the weekend against Black Hills State. Perhaps the biggest story was once again holding your opponent to under 100 in the hitting percentage category. How much does the team take pride in that defense, and what worked well for you guys?
Defense has been our biggest strength this year, and it starts in our serving and being aggressive serving team, which makes blocking a little bit easier, and we've been turning back a lot of balls, and then that makes defense really easy if it gets past our first 2 lines of defense. So, when we can hold a team under 100, our goal this weekend was to hold our opponents under 200. We held them under 100 on Friday night, and we know we have a good chance of winning when we're holding our opponent to that percentage.
So Jesse Meganhart has been incredible for you guys, having already 4 aces that night and leading on the RMAC with aces. You mentioned to Eric that you changed her form in the off-season. What was that like for her?
It was, good change, obviously. So I think she's a little more consistent with just the location that we're having her serve from on the court, more so than kind of her technique, but being a little more strategic with her being a lefty of where we place her along the line. So she's done a really good job of being a lot more consistent this year as a whole, and her serve moves a lot and has kind of some weird angles at it when it gets going. So that's what makes it so hard to defend.
Was that transition hard for her, or was it easy?
I don't think so. The biggest thing is she has to run across the court to her base defense a little further than when she was serving on the opposite side of the court, but she can get in there pretty quick, so I don't think it's too bad.
That's good. That's good.
So it was a 3-0 sweep of the Yellow Jackets, and then it was on to Rapid City to take on South Dakota Mines. Now this is a team that beat then-ranked Colorado Mines in Golden earlier in the season. So did you know that this was a dangerous team going into this match?
Yeah, going up to the South Dakota schools for some reason always feels a little dangerous. So, for some reason we've seemed to play fine at Black Hills and not so fine in Rapid City, and that was obviously the case again this weekend. So, I thought we started off slow and we never found our rhythm all night, and uncharacteristic high air match for us. And yeah, it was just a really not a great night for us, and they kind of came at us the entire night and didn't give in, and it was the first team that didn't kind of give in to us, and so that's why the result happened the way it did.
Yeah, so the Rockers offense came out ready to go and ended up at 3-10 in that match. What was it about their attack that gave your team fits?
Yeah, so we hit 305, they hit 310. It was definitely a defensive match more than offensive that created the separation, but honestly, we just didn't get them out of system enough and didn't play good enough floor defense. It was just not a good night for us from a blocking and a floor defense perspective. They did some things to our block that we didn't respond well to, and we just didn't have another move all night, which was the disappointing part of the match, and probably not our greatest performance as a whole, and they just kept at us and played really well, especially as the match wore on.
So Coach, sometimes when you're rolling along in matches, adversity might not come as quickly, but during this match, how did your team deal with some of that adversity?
Not very well, actually. So, if I'm honest, to come out with a forced-out loss, we didn't handle things great that night, and that is really uncharacteristic of this group. We've been really solid. We've been very composed when things aren't going our way, and sometimes you just have a bad night, and it was kind of the perfect storm for us of a lot of factors kind of coming to a head, and we just didn't have a good night that night. I fully expect this team to rebound. We just finished practice. They're motivated. Nobody's happy with the way things went down last weekend. But I think we're a little bit more on high alert, and that, we gotta put the work in to make sure that doesn't happen again.
Absolutely.
So the RMAC is a really tough conference to try go undefeated. So this is kind of a setback for you guys. But what is the message for your squad as you head into these games this weekend?
Well, we've been saying all along it's one match at a time, and it's the same thing with a loss. We got to learn, we got to move on from it, and now all eyes are on Dixie State. So we got to make sure we kind of correct the things that didn't go well this weekend, and then we move forward. I think we can't make it more than it is, but we also have to address it and own what happened on Saturday night and move forward, and I fully trust that this group will.
We'll go better, do better, improve every time, right?
Yeah, well, that's the goal.
All right, well, Coach, we have some trivia for you.
For
tonight.
me?
Yes.
I get the trivia?
Yes, correct.
That's exciting.
So right now you're actually tied with Coach Xiao with 1 point. So if you get one of the questions correct, you move on to first place and get a tie in that. But if you get the bonus question right, you'll move on all together to first place.
Okay.
You ready?
I hope so.
All right, so this first question is multiple choice. So we mentioned that Jesse Meganhart is leading the RMAC with her 25 service aces. So that makes us wonder who is the program's all-time leader in service aces. And we're asking about the player that played after the rally scoring era began in 2001. So is it A, Amy Watanabe? Is it B, Lisa Jones? Or is it C, Devin Heron?
Oh my. I was hoping you were going to ask me how many aces per set. I am going to go with C, Devin Harry. No, B. I mean B, Lisa Jones. B, Lisa Jones? It's not Amy. It is?
It is.
Oh. Don't let her see this. She's never going to forgive me that I never knew she was the all-time leader in aces. Wow. I might be in trouble for not knowing that.
That's all right.
Coach, no big deal. So on to the bonus point.
Okay,
all right?
I still get a bonus.
Here
Awesome.
we go. Here we go.
Okay.
So how many aces did she have in her 4-year career? And if you're close, we'll give you this point. You got to be within 10.
Like total aces,
Yes.
not aces per set
Total aces.
in her career.
Let's cover the answer because she might cheat.
I don't even know if I have a guess. Let's say she had 373. Not even close. I have no clue. What is it? You don't know? He doesn't know
Answer's
either.
not posted on the...
What?
Okay.
141? That's it? Amy.
I guess so.
No wonder why she can ace our kids in practice every day. This makes a lot more sense to me now. Wow. I'll make sure she doesn't watch this episode.
She's gonna watch it. Oh well. Well, Coach, thank you so much for being with us tonight. It was great having you, and we want to wish you the best of luck in the upcoming games.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. So we're gonna take our first break, but stay close. We'll talk some cross country up next in the Coach's Corner.
In the heart of the city, Metropolitan State University of Denver is holding the line on the American dream. Our students come from every background and experience. They are tenacious, purposeful, entrepreneurial. They choose the highest quality and best value in Colorado higher education, and they choose their own roads for more than 70 undergrad and graduate degrees. Relevant, hands-on, and affordable education. Discover your road to success at msudenver.edu.
Hi, I'm Kayla White, junior outside hitter for the volleyball team, and you're watching Coach's Corner. Get rowdy! I said Coach's Corner. You did? You did. Hi, I'm Kayla White, junior outside hitter for the volleyball team, and you're watching... Oh! I got it right. Hi, I'm Kayla White, junior outside hitter for the volleyball team, and you're watching Coach's Corner. Get rowdy!
Perfect. That's good. Welcome back, and before we get into some cross country with Coach Lara, we want to tell you about that you can book your next party and get together right here at the Tivoli Tap House. Whether it's for a handful of people or a couple hundred, the Tivoli Tap House would like to host your next event. There are discounts on beer and food based on the size of your party, and you'll have downtown Denver as your backdrop for your event. So contact the Tivoli Tap House at tivolibrewingco.com to set up your next party today. So now we say hello to Nick. Lara, how are you doing, Coach?
I'm doing well, guys.
Coach,
glad to be
good
back.
to see you.
That's
always
great.
good to be here.
Great. So you're holding another beer mile. Why don't you go ahead and promote that for our viewers?
Yeah, so we're going to do a beer mile on October 31st at 6 p.m. We're going to do a couple different ones. One of them is a 4x4 relay, which equates to the mile, obviously. And that one's $40, and it's $10 per person. The other one we're going to do is an individual one, which will be a full beer mile for each person, which will be one beer, one lap, essentially. And that one will be, I want to say $20. So.
Oh, okay.
But October 31st, and it should be a good time.
Yeah,
Sounds like fun. We might enter. So, before we talk about the Chicago meet, we want to talk to you about the Roadrunner Invitational that took place close to home a few weeks ago. We'll get to your teams in a bit, but how did everything go? You had the citizens race going on. Did the entire event go well?
Yeah, we had a lot of people turn up for the 5K, which was awesome. It was a big fundraising opportunity for us, and a lot of people came out and supported the team, so that was a really good time. And then obviously we had the home meet shortly after that, and we had good showings on both the men and women's side.
Awesome.
That's great. So you talk to the players who go to these events. Do you get to know them a little bit better or something?
To the teams that come?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, one of the teams that came down was from Slippery Rock, Pennsylvania, and they came a long ways to travel and see the course and compete against us. And yeah, I took a little extra time to make sure that I said hello and introduced myself and thanked them for coming out and supporting what we're trying to do here. And so it was a good event so far.
So you mentioned to our boss Eric that freshman Jenna Howard surprised you at the race. Talk about her race and her progress through her freshman year so far.
Yeah, so at the beginning of the year, she was kind of just a deer in headlights. She's really grown over the last couple months, and she's looked really well. So at the home meet, she had completely out of the blue jumped out there and ran a PR, probably a 2-minute PR, and became one of the girls that is pushing the team to what we hope is a national berth and something even more after that. So she's looked really good, and she had a good performance this past weekend in Lewis. So all signs are good for Jenna. Being out in Lewis was interesting to say the least. I mean, it was really muddy. They had rain for 2 weeks prior to us getting there, and the course was really, really sloppy. So times weren't overly fast. It's one of those meets you just got to get out there and compete. And I think Yoni kind of underestimated the course conditions a little bit at first, and then when he realized that it wasn't he wasn't working as hard as he thought he was, he took off and kind of made up some ground. But he looked good, and I think he could be a lot better. I was happy with his performance, but I know there's more in the tank there.
So most of us saw Yoni's amazing story at roadrunnersathletics.com talking about his escape from his homeland of Eritrea. When you heard Yoni's journey of how he made it all the way here to Denver from Africa, what goes through your mind?
Oh, he's one of the many stories that come out of that region, to be honest. It's such a special thing for him to get here and have an opportunity to do something with his life and further his education and make something of himself. The conditions that he came from, they're just, you can't really fathom what was going on at that time, So his story is special, and he comes from a great background of runners from that region. And so I only see things going much, much better for him in the future.
Yeah, so you were talking about the condition of the road over there. Mm-hmm. So do you have a talk with your players before you get they go and run? What is
yep, so
what is it
we
like?
had a pre-meet. We kind of went out there and ran the course the day before, and it was, like I said, it was muddy. It was muddy. There was shoes all over the place from people stepping in the mud and it was just popping off. And it was something that we wanted to get out there the day before and experience, and so that we knew what we were going to encounter the next day. So we had a long talk about that to make sure that we were prepared on both fronts, both mentally and physically, and the team came out and ready to rock.
Have you ever lost a shoe yourself?
I've never lost a shoe. In fact, I've never run in such bad conditions. I've been fortunate to run in some better places like California, and luckily, none of those courses had 2 weeks of rain prior to running on them. But so in cross country, you kind of just make the conditions work, and it is what it is. And sometimes times aren't that important, and you do what you got to do.
Oh, okay.
And Coach, so more than 400 runners in each of the men's and women's races. How much does this have an effect on a runner in a field that big?
Yeah, so it's very important to get out in those situations. Make sure that you end up in the top quarter of the race, because a lot of times you can get swallowed up really quickly with it all. And a lot of times for young kids like Alden, who haven't had that many experiences in those events, tend to get sucked up into the crowd. Fortunate for her, she was very mentally prepared and was able to overcome it. But those field sizes and those type of people can really, really skew your thoughts a little bit.
Of course, I could totally see that.
Yeah. So. Coach, thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Right on.
We want to wish you the best of luck in your conference championships.
Appreciate it.
In a few weeks. All right. Well, before, guess what time it is, bro?
It's time for the tweet of the week.
No way, is it?
Yes.
Oh, you know that time.
What's the tweet?
What's the tweet? Check it out. So it comes from the women's soccer account, as they honored Cancer Awareness Day on Sunday, and they did so with the former assistant coach Dave Carver, who is dealing with his second bout of testicular cancer. Dave is Tracy's Shaw former assistant and was there on Sunday to cheer on the women's squad while donating a shirt designed for the occasion. We are keeping Dave and his family on our prayers as he looks to beat cancer for the second time. One more break to go, but we'll be right back in the Coach's Corner.
In NCAA Division II, community engagement is an initiative at all 25 national championships because student-athletes want to give back while competing for a national title. Over the course of the year, Division II student-athletes have an opportunity to leave a lasting impression in local communities throughout the country. Whether Division II student-athletes are volunteering at hospitals, schools, after-school care programs, foster homes, or retirement villages, they make a difference in the lives of others. In Division II, we rise to the opportunity and make community engagement ours.
Hi, I'm Jessie Chappa from the cross country team, and you're watching the Coach's Corner. Get rowdy.
Welcome back. And before we welcome in our top road runner in all of Division II, she also brings with her a great smile. One of the best ones, should we say?
Wow, that's so nice.
You're welcome. So you're one of the top road runners right now. How does it feel like?
It feels crazy. I love to represent Metro, so I'm just kind of like doing my thing. It works out. I'm happy with it. Feels great.
That's great.
That's awesome. So you've had an amazing start to this season. You have had a third place finish, a couple second place finishes, and you finished first at the Colorado College Invite. What has been the difference for you this season? Did something just kind of click for you, or?
Definitely Coach Lara joining the team made a huge difference. And I don't know, our girls team is just like completely changed. Like we all have the best time together. And then like throw Coach Lara in the mix and it's just like, I don't know, we got something really good going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. A great environment, you could say.
Yes, definitely, definitely.
So we asked Coach Lara that what has been the reason for your success, and he tells us that is just being you. What does being you mean?
I pull out the speaker at every meet, and all the other teams are like looking like, what's Metro doing? And then I'm like blasting Ludacris, like intimidation factors. We play some like heavy metal.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I guess I'm just running, just having fun.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an impactful way to get in the other team's head.
Definitely.
I like that.
Right? You can't go wrong with Ludacris.
No way. So Eric told us you described your new cross-country coach as a badass.
Oh my
What does that mean, and how has he helped your progress this year?
You guys, he's a badass. Like you just like feel his presence when like you enter a room. So I like have to grab onto that energy. So now I'm like, I don't know, adding that to my own performance. Like, cause he is just a badass. Like he's an 8-time national champion. He's an awesome dude. Yeah.
That's great.
Amazing. Have you taken any kind of leadership role this season? We know that you lost Erica Ruiz and Sabrina Rauter from last year's squad. So are you out there helping your teammates, giving advice and such?
Oh yeah, I mean like we all just help each other, you know? Like I think our girls team sort of like encapsulates like everything that you'd want like a team to be. Like we all lift each other up, and like there's not like one person who's like doing more. I think we're all just kind of like working together, and like, you know, it's a team thing, like 100%.
That's
like,
great.
Yeah.
So Coach was telling us about your Chicago meet. There was mud, puddles, lost shoes, and just crappy conditions overall. It didn't seem to slow you down though, as you finished second. What was it like running in those conditions, and did you lose a shoe?
I did not lose a shoe. Okay, but the scariest part of that course for me was the hill at the beginning, okay? Because there's this giant hill. And so the day before we got there, and I just like, I'm running up it after getting off the plane. I start crying. I'm like, I can't run this hill. And so then like this hill, I woke up at 4 a.m. the next morning. I'm like pacing around the hotel, just like freaking out about this hill. I'm like, I can't run up that hill. Everyone's like, you're fine, you're fine. I did not know what it was. Like the mud, none of that bothered me. It was just this one hill. And then by the time like the race starts, I'm like hauling butt up the hill. And I'm like, okay, wait, that's good, that's done. So like the mud and stuff did not bother me at all. Like it was literally just the hill. Like, I don't even really remember the mud. I just remember like the hill haunting me, and then it ended up being nothing.
So you just had that determination to get through the hill.
Yeah, because like, oh my gosh, if you guys see a video, I think there's a video somewhere, but everyone just goes like swarming up, and like, I was like, I'm not gonna get swallowed up in this. Heck no, I'm getting out of here.
That's awesome. So how did the race go for you overall?
You know, this is kind of bad, but honestly, it didn't even feel like I was really racing. It felt like I was sort of out there running. Like, I'm still learning how to race and like really put myself in it. So for the most part, it just sort of felt like a run, like a little walk in the park.
Just another meet, right?
Yeah, 400 runners, yes. It was so scary. Like, I just knew that I had to get out there. And then whenever I kind of felt like I was like, all right, in the front, then I was like, all right, I'm good. Like, I know the girls are with me somewhere in here. Like, we're good. We got this. I just had to get out in the front, and that's also what scared me.
So if you felt somebody, like, coming up on you or, like, getting close, did that motivate you to, like, push harder?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was like, ooh, we gotta get going. Like, gotta stay in the front. Don't want to get swallowed up. Because I was seriously scaring myself about this race. I did not know, like, the hill and then all those girls. Because I've, like, felt like I've never really been strong at, like, getting out in races. Like, it takes me a minute to really, like, click. So this was the first race where I was really like, all right, I'm getting out, and, like, I'm gonna, like, hold on. And it worked out great. It was, like, sweet.
That's great.
That's awesome.
So do you have any words of advice for future players that want to join college track?
Future advice for future runners. Honestly, do it. Like, I was a little walk-on. I ran like a 21-minute 5K. People, it's just like, yeah, it happens. I just go for it. That's what I say. Just believe in yourself.
Just do it, Nike.
Yeah, exactly. Just do it. That's what I did. Works out great for me so far.
That's great.
So the track and field season will be here soon. Have you talked with Coach Lara about events you'll be taking part in? Is javelin an option for you?
Oh, javelin is definitely. That's actually what we've been training for this whole time, you guys. This cross stuff is just like a front. I'm actually going to be like the All-American javelin.
All right. Dual sport athlete. I love it.
Yeah.
So you'll have 2 weeks before the conference championship take place in Grand Junction. How would you prepare for the next 14 days to be ready for that race?
You know, just sticking to routine, not doing anything too crazy. Just like continuing to take it day by day, trust the process, get the work done, get enough sleep, drink enough water.
Hydration. So what will take you to finish in first place?
Me actually like racing. Like, I gotta like put myself in it, because I think right now I've just kind of been like running, like having fun with it, but now I like gotta get kind of like a game face mode on. Like, I'm like, all right, I can be a top dog. I'm gonna have to really do it.
That's great.
But yeah, Coach Lara helps with that.
So this season obviously is a little bit of a stretch, but how are you feeling with like the cold weather coming up and everything?
All right, at first I was like a big baby about it, because the heat in my house doesn't work either, which I got fixed today. But yeah, the heat in my house doesn't work either, so I was like really upset about the cold. Like, I was like hating the cold. But I don't know, I'm just embracing it now. I've kind of like gotten through it's cold now. Like in October, it just like that, it was cold. So I'm fine with it now.
It's here. It's
Put
ready
on
to
socks, bring dry ones.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Do you like the snow?
I love the snow.
That's great. All right, well, thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Thank you for having me.
And we want to wish you the best of luck in your upcoming races.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, of course. So before we call it a show, we want to give you a heads up about what's coming up in the Roadrunner sports this weekend. So the volleyball team will be happy to be back home at the Aurora Event Center this week. They'll first host Dixie State on Friday night, where we will celebrate a military appreciation day. That game will kick off at 7 p.m. Then Griffins from Westminster will take their way to downtown Denver, and that match will get on going at 5 p.m. Roadrunners TV will be there at all weekend to bring you Coach Glenn's squad in action.
Both of our soccer teams will be competing on the road this weekend. The women's team will be on the short road taking on Colorado Christian in Lakewood on Friday, and then on to Golden to take on the Colorado School of Mines on Sunday. The men's team will also take on the Ore Diggers, and we'll do so this Friday under the lights at 7:30. Then it's other Mines team and the Hard Rockers, as the Red and Blue will head to Rapid City on Sunday.
So that will be another show in the books. We want to thank Coach Glenn Coach Lara and the amazing Alden for being here today with us. For Coltin Lash, I'm Hector Cervantes. See you next time.